Hey guys, today we're going to make some starter wort for Jeff Mello. He's with Bootleg Biology and well, he needs some wort to prop up some yeast, so we're going to go ahead and make it today. We've got the small system set up. There she is. This is Chris's homebrew system that he used to use, and basically where he came up with all the recipes that we're doing today on this big system. So pretty cool. Yeah, let's go ahead and mill some grain, shall we? So the main ingredient that we need today is going to be grain. So if you're making beer, in this case starter wort for Jeff, which is basically just a beer, we need grain. So what we're going to use is called 2-row, and it's just a basic base malt that you'll find in most ales that you find in the market. Let's take a look and see what it looks like here. So that is 2-row. It's just malted barley, and that's going to be the main ingredient today. So let's go ahead and weigh it out. So now that we've weighed out the grain, now we're going to go ahead and mill it. So we're going to go ahead and crush the grain, and we don't want to crush it too much. We're not making flour or anything, but we do want to crack it. So that way we can, when we're mashing it, we can get access to all those enzymes and sugars and everything that we want inside of that grain. So to mill it, we use this machine right here. This is our mill. It's also got an auger attached to it, and this auger will typically carry the grain up to the brew house. But today, we don't want to take it to the brew house. We want to drop it out of the mill right where it is. So we're going to put the grain inside of this. It's going to get milled through. It's going to drop out right inside of that hotel pan. So you can kind of see up here, that's the inside of the mill. Yeah, let's go ahead and mill some grain. So at this point, all the grain is milled. We want to make sure that we get the leftovers. It's going to be a little bit stuck up inside of here. Main thing being, you always want to make sure in a system like this that you go ahead and shut off your mill. And make sure that the auger is turned off. Make sure that the emergency switches are flipped. Just be careful. Let's go ahead and get that grain out. And that's the rest of it. So now that we have all of our grain milled, we want to go ahead and add water to the mash tun, and once we have the water in, we'll go ahead and start mixing all of our grain in. So here's the mash tun. Here's the grain. Let's add water. So now that we have our grain and our water all ready to go, we'll go ahead and start mashing in, where we just add the grain to the water. So here we go. So as you're dumping it in, you want to go ahead and stir it. Make sure you don't get any big clumps of grain stuck together. It's commonly referred to as a dough ball. You don't want those. all mashed in. So all the grain, all the water has been combined. Now what it's going to do is sit for the next hour. And over that hour we're going to extract all kinds of sugars and enzymes that we want to make a good wort, to make a happy environment for these yeast. Cool. So while the grain's working and we're doing our mash, there's one more part of the process we got to do. You got to skateboard. This reminds me, we got to put up our basketball pole. I think we got enough room for it. That would be fun. Alright, so now we're done doing our mash rest. We need to do a vorloff. So the vorloff is the process of really just clearing out this wort that we just made. So it's going to be cloudy and full of grain particulate and things like that. So we want to get all that out of there. So we're going to go ahead and start that process now. And basically what we're doing is we're just allowing some wort to flow through the pump so we can prime it and get it running. It's probably, yeah, there's a little bit of wort. So we'll shut that, we'll open this one and make sure that this is kind of floating on the top. So the wort's going to come through all this and back around the top here. So and slow down that rate big time so we can check our actual flow on him. And we want it to sit around 1 gallon per minute. Works pretty well with this guy. Here's our wort coming back up. Get some air bubbles out. Still sitting at a good flow. So we'll do that for about 30 minutes and then we'll start transferring it to the boil kettle. Alright, so after we mash, we do the runoff. So after combining all that grain and all the water, you get this liquid that we call wort. This is kind of what it looks like. So we'll go ahead and transfer all that into the boil kettle, and then we'll add more water to this grain, and that's going to be our sparge. Once we're done sparging, we'll go ahead and boil this, and then we're done. So now we're transferring all of that sparge liquid over to the boil kettle. We'll combine the first runnings and the sparge runnings. We'll boil all that together, and that's our starter wort. So here's what it looks like right now. Oops. And then we'll come back to it once it starts boiling, like right about... Alright, so we are boiling the wort now. We've reached a full boil. Let's check it out. Oh yeah. So now we'll just boil that for about an hour, and then we'll transfer it into this keg right here. And then Jeff will be down on Thursday to pick all this wort up, so he'll be doing yeast propagation with it, so some breweries out there might be getting some yeast propagated with this wort. If so, cheers, happy brewing, and I'll see you on Thursday, Jeff.